The Legend of Lawrence of Arabia. T.E. Lawrence was a British officer. He became known as Lawrence of Arabia. This name came from his role in the Arab Revolt. The revolt happened during World War I. Lawrence helped Arab forces fight against the Ottoman Empire. His actions became legendary. Lawrence was more than just a soldier. He was an archaeologist and writer too. He had a deep love for Arab culture. This love shaped his life and work. Lawrence's story captured the world's imagination. It still does today. Lawrence's life was full of adventure, but it was also complex. He struggled with fame and his own identity. His story is one of bravery and conflict. It's a tale of a man caught between two worlds. In this essay, we'll explore Lawrence's life. We'll look at his early years and his time in the Middle East. We'll see how he became a legend, and we'll examine his lasting impact on history. Lawrence's story is more than just a war tale. It's a story of cultural understanding and personal sacrifice. Early years, a curious mind in the making. T.E. Lawrence was born on August 16, 1888. He was born in Tremedog, Wales. His full name was Thomas Edward Lawrence. Lawrence had an unusual childhood. His family moved around a lot. This gave him a taste for adventure early on. Lawrence was a curious child. He loved to read and learn. He was especially interested in history and archaeology. Lawrence studied these subjects at Jesus College, Oxford. He was a bright student. His professors saw great potential in him. During his time at Oxford, Lawrence made a big decision. He chose to walk across Syria for his thesis. This was a brave and unusual choice. It showed his deep interest in the Middle East. This trip would change his life forever. Lawrence's journey through Syria was tough, but it taught him a lot. He learned about Arab culture and language. He also saw ancient ruins and artifacts. This trip sparked a lifelong love for the Middle East. It set the stage for his future adventures. Journey to the Middle East, discovering a new world. After university, Lawrence returned to the Middle East. He joined an archaeological dig in Syria. This was at a place called Carchemish. He learned about Arab culture and language. He worked with local people. Lawrence began to feel at home in the Middle East. Lawrence's work at Carchemish was important. It prepared him for his future role. As World War I began, Lawrence's life changed. The British Army needed people who understood the region. He was about to enter a new chapter in his life. The Arab Revolt, Lawrence's pivotal role. In 1916, the Arab Revolt began. Arab forces rose up against the Ottoman Empire. The British supported this revolt. They sent Lawrence to help. His job was to be a liaison between the British and the Arabs. Lawrence quickly became more than just a liaison. He became a leader and strategist. He worked closely with Arab leaders. The most famous was Prince Faisal. Together, they planned attacks against the Ottomans. Lawrence's role in the revolt was crucial. He helped the Arabs use guerrilla tactics. These were surprise attacks on Ottoman forces. Lawrence knew the desert well. He used this knowledge to plan clever attacks. One of Lawrence's most famous actions was blowing up railway lines. This disrupted Ottoman supply lines. It was dangerous work, but it was very effective. Lawrence's bravery and skill earned him respect. Both the Arabs and the British admired him. Section 5. Military Genius, Strategies and Victories. Lawrence's military strategies were innovative. He didn't fight like a traditional British officer. Instead, he adapted to the desert environment. He used the Arabs' knowledge of the land. This gave them an advantage over the Ottomans. One of Lawrence's greatest victories was the capture of Aqaba. Aqaba was a port city. It was well defended from the sea, but Lawrence led an attack from the desert. The Ottomans didn't expect this. The Arabs took the city with little bloodshed. Lawrence also helped plan the capture of Damascus. This was a key moment in the Arab Revolt. The fall of Damascus marked the end of Ottoman rule in the region. It was a huge victory for the Arab forces. Throughout the war, Lawrence showed great courage. He often rode into battle with the Arab forces. He suffered wounds and hardships like any other soldier. But his leadership and strategic mind set him apart. Lawrence became a hero to many. Section 6. The Price of Fame, Lawrence's Inner Struggles. As the war ended, Lawrence became famous. His exploits were reported in newspapers. He was seen as a romantic hero. But Lawrence didn't like this fame. He found it uncomfortable. Lawrence struggled with his role in the war. He had made promises to the Arabs. He told them they would have independence after the war, but the British and French had other plans. They divided up the Middle East between them. This betrayal of the Arabs deeply affected Lawrence. He felt guilty and conflicted. He had grown to love the Arab people, but he was also loyal to Britain. This inner conflict would stay with him for the rest of his life. Lawrence's fame also brought personal challenges. He was uncomfortable with attention. He often tried to avoid the public eye. This led to rumors and speculation about his life. Lawrence found it hard to live up to his legend. Section 7, Post-War Years, A Life Beyond the Desert. After the war, Lawrence tried to help the Arab cause. He attended the Paris Peace Conference in 1919. He argued for Arab independence, but his efforts were largely ignored. This was a great disappointment to Lawrence. Seeking anonymity, Lawrence joined the Royal Air Force. He enlisted under a false name. He wanted to escape his fame. Lawrence served in the RAF and later in the Tank Corps. He found some peace in these ordinary roles. During this time, Lawrence also wrote about his experiences. His most famous book is 7 Pillars of Wisdom. It tells the story of his time in Arabia. The book became a classic. It's still read and studied today. Lawrence's later years were quieter. He lived in a small cottage in Dorset. He enjoyed motorcycle riding. Tragically, this hobby led to his death. Lawrence died in a motorcycle accident in 1935. He was only 46 years old. Section 8, Literary Legacy, 7 Pillars of Wisdom. 7 Pillars of Wisdom is Lawrence's masterpiece. It's a detailed account of the Arab Revolt, but it's more than just a war story. It's also a personal journey. Lawrence writes about his thoughts and feelings. He describes the beauty of the desert and Arab culture. The book is known for its vivid writing. Lawrence had a gift for description. He brings the desert and its people to life. He also writes honestly about the hardships of war. The book shows both the excitement and the horror of conflict. 7 Pillars of Wisdom is also important historically. It gives insight into a crucial time in Middle Eastern history. Lawrence writes about the politics of the war. He describes the complex relationships between different groups. The book has had a lasting impact. It has inspired many other writers and filmmakers. The famous movie Lawrence of Arabia is based on this book. Lawrence's writing continues to fascinate readers today. It offers a unique perspective on a pivotal moment in history. Lawrence's influence on the modern Middle East. Lawrence's influence was significant. He shaped the region after World War I. His support for Arab independence raised hopes, but the reality was different. Lawrence's guerrilla warfare ideas were influential. Many later conflicts used similar tactics. His strategies impacted military thinking. His writings shaped Western views. Lawrence remains a controversial figure. His story continues to be studied and debated.